This evening we're honored to have two celebrities bowling on this squad. On lane 23, from Dallas, Texas, a member of the USBC Board of Directors, Jay Nephew.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the 2012 USBC Open Championships. We are in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at the Baton Rouge River Center. Matt Cannizzaro here, Emil Williams by my side once again. Our second official live stream broadcast of the year. Tonight we have a treat for you. Some of the top players and familiar names on the PBA Senior Tour trying to get it done here at the Open Championships. We'll have all that action for you very soon. They're in the 10 minutes of practice right now before their team event. We are getting situated and comfortable. We're going to be with you for the next 3 hours or so. We've got some interesting folks around us as well, so perhaps we'll have some exciting guest broadcasters tonight. Robbie Spigner actually standing right next to me at this moment. Emil, how's it going tonight? How do things look at the River Center?
Well, so far so good, man. We've got some big names and hopefully some good scores to come along with those big names and some big scores, as we should say. Packed house here in the Baton Rouge River Center. Also, we got a packed side of bleachers right in front of us. Is both sides of the bleachers directly in front of us and to our right, packed and fully loaded with fans. So it should be a great 3 hours of bowling here at the 8:30 team squad this evening.
All right, well, who are we here to see tonight? Let's give a rundown of tonight's rosters. Two very solid teams. Some talented senior players.
All right, 10 guys looking at Charles Salzer, Mark Chimay, Rich Gibson. Ladies and gentlemen, 31 tournaments. This will be the 32nd for Salzer, the 27th for Mark Chimay, the 20th for Rich Gibson. All Florida natives. Bill Freeland making his 15th appearance. Kevin Croucher making his 11th appearance. Hook and Bob Hanley making his 29th appearance at the Open Championships. Alvin Liu, just his 9th. The 10th for Chris Cesare. Darren Baginski, his 9th. And Mark Williams, Beaumont, Texas, his 24th appearance. Mark Williams inducted into the PBA Hall of Fame in 1999. Stacked pair on 35 and 36. Some great bowlers. Again, many of them now on the senior tour as well.
What kind of problems were y'all having before? Like, yeah. No. I mean, in the past, when it was choppy, when it like stop playing, or? I think for some, yeah.
All right, folks, we're just getting situated here. Practice almost over. As Emil said moments ago, a packed house. We are full schedule from here on out. From now until July, there will be full squads every day. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of bowlers into town, out of town, every single day. Very exciting. The bleachers right now, as we said, packed. We're going to see some great senior players on the lanes tonight and some of their senior buddies in the stands. Standing right next to me, Robbie Spigner from Illinois, and 2011 Team All Events champion Adam Ishman in the house as well. So we'll hopefully hear from those two gentlemen along the way, so you don't have to listen to me and Emil for the next 3 hours. But we're here to bring you the action. So join us in the chat room. Any questions, let us know, and we'll do our best to take good care of you tonight. So here we go. Practice is now over. It's time for competition. That is Kevin Olson on the mic, reminding everybody flash photography is not allowed during competition. And now we're seconds away from the sound of the bell, the start of tonight's team event, so here we go. First bowler we're going to get a look at, Hook and Bob Handley. Familiar name. Let's see what he's got in store for us tonight as he leads off Sign Producers 1 and Sign Producers 2. Here on lanes 35 and 36 at the River Center. Leaves the bucket on the first shot. There's a good shot there by Charles Sauser. All 10 for him. Looks like he was right around 10 at the arrows tonight. Of course, as you know in the team event, team play, very important. Strategy, working together. So we'll see if these guys have a good strategy here as they try to break the lanes down. All right, so we're getting comfortable here as the stands continue to fill. Senior player Ron Boroff and his wife Anita stepping up here to check out the action as well. They're in town to bowl. So after a couple of slow weeks here at the Open Championships, once again we were at full capacity. We've seen some great bowlers come through here in the last couple of days, some great scores. Emil, let's get a rundown of our team event we saw just the other night. A talented group of youngsters, college kids from Wisconsin came out, and it was the perfect execution of team play and strategy and determination, hard work, practice paid off. They came into the night. The leader in the team event was 3,088. They destroyed that number. They absolutely annihilated it. Both teams, actually. And jumping into the top spot that night, Nicholas J's Pro Shop 2 from La Crosse, Wisconsin, 34.01. Now, we heard early in the year the shot looked a little difficult on paper, and the early scores definitely reflected that difficulty. But those youngsters made it look awfully easy. And their companion team, Nicholas J's Pro Shop, shot 32.04. So I imagine with a number like that, we're going to be seeing Nicholas J's Pro Shop quite a bit for the next couple of months, possibly all the way. Who knows? There was a lot of talk about what it was going to take. I heard 33 would be a good number, maybe 33.50. A lot of speculation early without seeing a lot of play on the lanes, but right away, 3,400. So, Emil, you were here for part of that night. You also are a former collegiate bowler. You understand the atmosphere and what those gentlemen were trying to accomplish. Can you describe that a little bit and kind of what it was like just being a part of that, personally, and then seeing it come into action here at the Open Championships?
Well, I'd have to say, I was here only for the back end portion of that. Along with that, we had a lot of other stuff going on. I was in the area, so decided to stop by and see if my colleagues needed any help. But Nicholas J's Pro Shop number 2, actually both teams, as you said, the Pro Shop owner, Nick Heilman, who the team names are after. He owns the Pro Shop. If I'm not mistaken, had a lot to do with their equipment and whatnot. But nonetheless, the team atmosphere is something that they're used to and accustomed to, because that's what they do on a daily basis. Many of them bowl for the Viterbo University in Wisconsin. I believe that is actually in La Crosse, where many of those youngsters are from as well. But the team atmosphere is something they're used to. And when you take what you learn in college and then transfer that here into this setting, it's a little different, obviously. But the same goals are still intact. You know, spare shooting, communication, paying attention, staying focused, paying attention to what's happening with the ball in front of you, then communicating that back. So the next individual who is up will not make the same mistakes if there was a mistake that you'll make. So proper communication. Spare shooting, of course, you need some strikes, and they struck a lot for 34-01. I believe they only had 8 opens in that 3-game set. So nonetheless, I mean, you know, when you're in that atmosphere, especially when you have all 10 guys, men and women, out of all 10 people doing their thing, making correct shots, making the correct read, and then communicating on top of that, you got yourself a winner. And that translates into college bowling success, and that you can easily transfer that to the Open Championships. And when I say easy, I'm not talking about, you know, you can just come out here and shoot 34-01 because you can. You know, that you just don't shoot 34-01 every day of the week when you come out to the Open Championships tournament. You got to have some things go your way, but you have to be prepared.
It was actually only the 33rd time in tournament history, I believe, and this tournament began in 1901. So that is quite a feat, a winning number in most years. Of course, we have very talented teams up until the very last minute, so you just never know. But that number, very solid. And that group led by Heilman, as you mentioned, the veteran of the group. He came in here with 9 years of experience. This was number 9 for him. And almost as much as the whole rest of the group combined. So not only I see the experienced member, the Pro Shop guy, the equipment guy, he set the game plan in motion. He helped facilitate some practice sessions where they would bowl on this pattern at different bowling centers in Wisconsin. And that group, surprisingly, the second team there, the Nicholas J's Pro Shop, all first-timers. So 32-04 for 5 first-timers to battle the nerves and come out here and bowl in such a relaxed manner that they did. That is unbelievable. And a couple of the leading team guys just here for the second time. So Trevor Yonan last year shot 300 in his debut. So technically a veteran on his team.
Yep.
And Heilman just riding that ship, no problem. And strategy worked out perfectly. Practice paid off. And now tonight we're watching sign producers 1 and 2 from Winter Garden, Florida, shoot at that number.
I think, and of course, Heilman was high in that team series with 769. But you know, when you talk about 5 first-timers, of course, it helps when you have a good game plan and then you stick to it and you can see it start to work and come to fruition. And I believe, you know, that will give you confidence, make the arm swing a little bit looser, especially when your other 5 guys are doing the same thing, everybody striking and having a good time. It makes it a lot easier to stay loose and to throw good shots. So kudos to not only Nick Heilman and Nicholas J's Pro Shop number 2, but Nicholas J's Pro Shop for their wonderful 32-04 as well. I will gladly take 32-04 at the Open Championships tournament any day of the week, any year.
Absolutely. 3,400, 3,200, both great numbers. Their goal coming in was 3,200, and to achieve that and then some, pretty awesome. But while we have this opportunity, let's take a look up at the scoreboard. The 10 gentlemen we're watching tonight here at the Baton Rouge River Center, and sign producers 2 off to a pretty solid start already. A lot of strikes up there, and all their experience and strategy clearly paying off early. The hard part, of course, is maintaining that through 3 games. It's the team that can do that that's going to come out on top when it's all over. Unless, of course, you shoot the highest game in team history or in tournament history. Like last year's team champion, Turbo 2-1 Grips, 1281 to take the lead and the title. So you just never know. Now, from early discussions in the year, the strategy that, in theory, is going to work best out here, we've heard it, is to have everybody ride around 7, 8, 9 early on, breaking the lanes down together, and then slowly creeping inside of that, using that as a bump area as the night progresses. This year's pattern, 39 feet, 2 feet shorter than a year ago. But as with any sport bowling certified lane condition, shot making at a premium, spare making, of course, very important. And hopefully the strikes will come along the way.
I think 2 of those main keys are spare shooting and don't panic. So
well, and if you don't believe us, go to bowl.com and check out this year's 2012 Open Championships Tournament Yearbook, where 5-time champion Jeff Riggles shares his team's keys to success here at the Open Championships. They are not shy about what works for them. And it's all right there, so check that out. Go to bowl.com, find the Open Championships page, and you'll find this year's yearbook and much more. All kinds of news and stories, webcams, pictures, videos, you name it, it's there. And we put it there. We're here to bring you the news from the River Center for the entire 151-day event. As we mentioned, this is our second official live stream broadcast from the River Center this year. If you'd like to check out that first one, visit our YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/BowlTV. You'll find that broadcast and much more. All of our archived broadcasts from USBC, not just the Open Championships, but Lucas Wiseman traveling the world at international and collegiate events all over the place. All kinds of goodies.
I think this year is quite different, only in the sense where the pattern, there was an extreme differences made or attempts to, and clearly there's some significant differences, I should say, from this year to last, and so that would prompt immediate concern and immediate analysis on what to do and how to play the lane condition. But you know, at the end of the day, if you get close to the pocket, you can make it spare, and if you come in with a game plan, and whether you stick with it or not, as long as not only yourself but the other 9 members, or perhaps 4, whether you have 5 or 10, have all decided to either do away or continue on with what you decided previously, then I think you know, you can't be too upset with the results. You know, it's this, the sport can be cruel sometimes, so everything may not go your way. that's just the nature of the beast right there. But I think for the most part, at least, and it's still early, but people have come in with the, for the most part, the same idea. But of course, there'll be a lot of differences as you continue to power through 3 games. 3 games is it's a long time. That's almost like an eternity, especially when you're talking about transition.
Well, as you know, with every shot you throw, the lanes change. It's an invisible defender that you have to battle out there. Every shot, even the environment will change, and it's the team that stays on top of those moves and the transition, and that's going to come out on top. So you can have all the strategy you want on paper, but it's all about the execution of it when it comes down to it.
It's a good word there, execution. That's pretty important. I'm going to go ahead and add that to the other 2 I mentioned. Don't panic, make spares, execute.
Well,
pretty good plan.
Alvin Liu can execute here. Struck on this lane on his first shot and misses the head pin to the right. So I did hear that earlier today. Somebody pointed out, hey, if you get the ball to the right, it's going to hang. Well, yeah, that's kind of how it works. It's not a house shot. Not something you see on your Thursday night league, where you can get it right, it's going to hook back. You can get it in, it's going to hold. It doesn't quite work that way. This event, sports certified, officially since 2008. So to find success here, to have your name hanging from the rafters, you have to earn it. You have to step up and throw those great shots when it counts. As Mark Chimay throws a good shot, leaves a flat dime, as we call it here at the Open Championships.
Robbie Spigner knows everybody. I believe he is talking to a person that I actually know, though. That would be Doug Lakey.
Well,
Doug
you know,
Lakey.
Chicago is such a small town. Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah, but Doug's not from Chicago. Doug is from St. Louis. Actually went to Lindenwood University, as a matter of fact. Actually is a co-host on the Inside Bowling Show as well with Mike Flanagan. But Chicago's not it's a pretty small place. I mean, you know, if you think 3 million small. Got a small baseball team over on the north side there, but I'll leave that alone.
So these guys got off to a pretty solid start. With 8 strikes through the first 2 frames, and things not going quite as well here. After just a couple frames, 3 consecutive opens. And, Rich Gibson looking strong with a spare and a 3-bagger, but let's see if Bill Freeland can get things back on track here after an open frame. Gets that one a little bit right, makes the move, mixes him up for a strike, so he is perfect on the left lane, yet to strike on the right. So the right lane just simply looks tough right now for some of these guys.
Well, Rich Gibson had actually on the left lane, the last strike he had on the left lane back in the second, looked like he probably got that one a little bit right. And yeah, I didn't think it was getting back, and it did. And then that time, in his last shot on the left lane, well, he pulled it just a hair, and it went Brooklyn.
Kevin Croucher on that shot looks like he was happy with it, and we saw a lot of back end reaction there, and we've seen that a lot. It's interesting. Sometimes it just looks like the ball is just hooking a ton, and you just get it through the break point just a little bit quick, and see you later. So it's very touchy out there, as he is working on an open frame and leaves the 4-9 there. So what looked good off his hand, the result not so good. He'll make a run at that. He'll leave that out there, so he starts the day with a double. and back-to-back opens. Let's take a look at the scoreboard here through 4 frames. Right, Bob Hanley back up on the approach, working on a strike, trying to make it a double here. Started this game with a bucket on the left lane. Now he goes runaway Brooklyn. Lucky to leave just the 3-9.
Couple of good shots thrown on some pairs to the right of us. See a couple of teams also playing the outside part of the lane. Having some success thus far. A 5-bagger to start on lane 37 for Eric Heimhoff. Team from Maumelle, Arkansas.
We do have a pretty good view from here. You can see all kinds of lanes from here, so we'll keep everybody up to date on what's happening out there.
It's been a good week to shoot 3,100. We'll say that. Had a couple of those in consecutive days on consecutive squads.
Well, now that we're jam-packed here schedule-wise, what's the top 10 looking like in the team event?
Well, as we mentioned earlier, Nicholas J's Pro Shop 2. Currently with the lead, 34.01. And second, Nicholas J's Pro Shop, 32.04. And Bud Light Sheboygan now in the 3rd spot from Sheboygan, Wisconsin with 31.54. Bob's Custom Decks in 4th from Romeoville, Illinois, 31.44. In 5th place, Solid 9 Pro Shop 1 from Taylorville, Illinois, with 31.34. In 6th place, Super Bowl Appleton from Kalkauna, Wisconsin, 31.10. In 7th place, Legend of Dung Ho, who had the lead before Nicholas J's Pro Shop did their thing just a few days back. Saligas Ishimi with 30.88 from Cerritos, California. In 8th place, Saligas Pro Shop from Kenosha, Wisconsin, 30.42. Ed Saliga and Derek Hartnell on that squad. 10 Pin Alley, number 3 in 9th place from Madison, Wisconsin, 30.26. And right now in 10th place, the lone team in the top 10 under 3,000 is 4 Knox from Green Bay, Wisconsin with 29.87. That is a look at your top 10 regular team scores here at the 2012 USBC Open Championships.
You mentioned the other night we had some excitement. The top 2 teams, of course, Nicholas J's Pro Shop. At the same time, we had a 50-year bowler and new classified team leader. So it seems like things kind of come in waves like that. And, of course, 3 of us here to handle things that night. But very cool to see all of those different things happen. And that gentleman, the first of 3 bowlers to reach 50 years this week at the Open Championships. 13 on the schedule for the year. So not everybody here to win an eagle or take the lead. A lot of folks here to challenge the participation records and get that recognition. So very cool to see them come back many, many years. Had a gentleman today. Next year will be 50 for him. And earlier this year, I believe he had an aortic aneurysm and has been rehabbing since September just to be here with us for number 49 this year, and he will do everything possible to make sure he is healthy and ready for number 50 next year. So these are the folks that we get to see on a daily basis, not just your leaders, not just your 300 shooters, but 60,000 bowlers with 60,000 cool stories to tell. All of them here for many different reasons.
Great stories to tell as well. Many can go back to the 60s and 70s, many before that. Bill Lillard will make it 65 in a row on the 19th. Obviously, he's got some great stories to tell about his journey.
And
Not only here, but his bowling journey in general.
Absolutely. Bill's been around a few years, and we'll have the opportunity to talk to him when he is here. We will be live streaming his doubles and singles on March 19th, as he is our active pinfall leader, chasing his Hall of Fame compadre, Joe Norris, on the all-time list. He is still a little bit short. It's going to take a few more years, but we're going to bring that to you live here from the Baton Rouge River Center. And in between then and now, March 17th, 8:30 p.m., we have a treat for you as well. A couple of solid teams of youngsters led by former Team USA members Eric and Amanda Vermelia, junior Team USA members Jeffrey Mersch, Sean Ryan, Clay Herbeck, and former exempt PBA player PJ Haggerty. So definitely a lot of excitement coming up in our live stream schedule, and still a long way to go tonight. So a lot of strikes on the board so far here. Perhaps we'll see our next 3,400 in just a few hours.
That should be another great broadcast, so be sure to tune in for that as well. Couldn't get these are 10 solid guys right here, and can't get any better than what's happening on the 17th as well.
And you just really never know. I mean, we got some top names that we'll bring to you live, and we got very lucky last year. We caught a lot of great, memorable moments on our live stream broadcast. We're hoping for many more this year. You can go back and relive some of those.
Another surprise that was too with their companion team. Speaking of with Eric Vermillier and Amanda and Jeff Mersch at Tuckfield. And Steve Novak, their companion team. Our original schedule just had that team, and then come to find out that their companion team is the team of Sean and Ronnie, David, Clay, and PJ. Those are the kind of surprises we get here at the Open Championships, and we will pass those along to you as well. We just can't benefit ourselves. We like to share in our surprises with our fans.
Well, Mr. Williams, looking up at the scoreboard right now, let's take a look. But it kind of looks like a game of tic-tac-toe. And sign producers, too, already with 6 holes. It's almost as many as our leaders had all night as they took the lead. So these gentlemen will have to step things up a little bit here.
And that statement you just made, Matt, kind of really tells the story of just how tough it is to put up a number like 34.01. And these gentlemen are not bowling bad by any means. But to have 8 opens in 3 games is sensational. And that's just the kind of effort it takes to come out, potentially put yourself into position to win a regular team title at the Open Championships. Any title for that matter here. You got to earn it, as you like to say.
Got to earn it. You got to step up on the big stage. You got to throw the shot with the bright lights and the cameras on you. Man up.
Really the first sign of trouble, real sign of trouble, can consecutively. We've seen a couple of washouts now on the lanes for both of these teams. As Kevin Croucher gets the swisher to go.
Now, I've had the opportunity to watch almost all of these gentlemen on the lanes at various points in their careers. Got to cover Kevin Croucher at the Senior Masters a few years back. An excellent performance from him. I believe that was 2007. And a year earlier, actually, Sign Producers 1 and 2 both bowled very well in Corpus Christi. And they came in needing a sub. And I was not available to help them at the last minute. I offered them my associate at the time, David Ellis, media relations specialist, and they went out and shot 3,200 plus. So nice effort and payday for Mr. Ellis, and a surprise. Hey, you're not working tonight. I'm gonna have you bowl. And of course, these gentlemen from near the Orlando area. Mr. Gibson, him and his brother Tom, in the pro shop business. My brother Casey used to work for them, or him. Hook and Bob Hanley, a familiar name in the bowling world. Just let you guess how he got that nickname. And Mark Chimay, a longtime PBA regional bowler, so that's where I met him, out there in the trenches back in the day. So these guys have been around for a bit, have had success at many levels, and I'm sure there are hundreds and hundreds of folks tuning in right now to get an idea. Where are these standouts playing? What's working at the Open Championships, as Alvin Liu rings another 10-pin there on the left lane. Great shot from him.
Great shot right there from Lou. Was almost picture perfect. Sure exactly what he was looking for.
And he is not being rewarded by any means for being lined up. Certainly one strike here through 7 frames, but clean otherwise, as Salzer doubles up there on the right lane. So he's got 5 strikes in 7 frames.
So far, it looks like the light hits are being the most generous this evening on 35 and 36. The light hits are carrying. And I saw this gentleman earlier near check-in on lane 33, but I could not think of his name. Now that I've seen his name on the scoreboard, his name is Tom Elston. Matt looks like he doesn't remember who Tom Elston is. Well, Tom won himself a Chevy Silverado last year during one of the Eagles Nest giveaways. I'll look for Tom later if I get a chance and ask him what he decided to do with that truck.
Did you drive here in your Chevy Silverado? Full of bowling balls for your team coming from Michigan. Quite a drive, but
back and forth both ways through Bowling Ball Express, so you can ship your bowling balls here, receive $25 off, and you can also send them back home and get that same coupon, $25 off. Express check-in, I don't know if Matt mentioned that, but you can bypass the registration lines and be personally taken care of. If you have multiple teams, that's also a good idea. It'll work even better for you. Check you right on in and with the quickness.
And they'll check you in the VIP lounge. You get to hang out. Very nice area upstairs, refreshments. You get to hang out just across the threshold from the media relations team here at the Open Championships. I say that would be my number one thing on the list. You get to be right there in the trenches with us. And we do have the best seat in the house overlooking the lanes. But the VIP lounge, of course, for VIP members only, and the location of that express check-in. And speaking of express, you also get to go to the front of the line in the scale room. And as a bonus, the scale room staff would be more than happy to bring your equipment to the lanes for you after weighing it in. So the benefits are many And so far we have more than 160 VIPs signed up for this year, so that program taking off. If you'd like more information, go to bowl.com/VIP to find out how to get registered. You also get a very sweet polo shirt embroidered with your name and a VIP logo, and a VIP lanyard and credential so you can get around the building as a celebrity. So again, check that out, bowl.com/VIP.
Did you mention the nameplate as well that is located on the Wall of Fame? Got the nameplate for VIPs. Letting everyone know who is in the building, who's a VIP, where you're take your nameplate. You can also wear your lanyard around. That'll get you some access. So fantastic package. Matt said that looks like so far the VIP locker is number 2 on the list. I tell you what, that's a great deal right there. Obviously, everyone usually would like to use a locker, put their equipment away for the night, and have it for the next morning or afternoon or wherever you may be bowling. But you can use it at any time, multiple times.
Well, if you think about it, really, if you're coming to Baton Rouge to bowl, there's a ton of opportunities to do so. Of course, your first thing is to make an appearance at the showcase lanes, whether it be with Bill Hall or as just a practice session with your team. And we'll get to that a little bit later, but there's also the Bowlers Journal Championships across town at Metro Bowl, the 40 frame game over at Circle Bowl, and of course your team event and your doubles and singles here at the River Center. So a lot of opportunities and somewhere to store your equipment in between. So let's take a moment here to focus on why we're here, actually. Sign producers 1 and 2, lanes 35 and 36 at the River Center, 2012 Open Championships. Things not going well for sign producers 1. So far through 8 frames, just 5 strikes. So they do say, make your spares, the strikes will come. And they are making most of their spares, but the strikes are not coming just yet. So let's take a peek at that. Mark Williams now about to step up on the right lane. Mark, no slouch in the PBA world, yet to strike tonight. So perhaps that's the first of many after 7 consecutive spares. Strike for Mr. Williams. So bowling on this squad, USBC board member Jay Nephew over on 23 and 24. We'll keep an eye on him. Things not going so well for him early on. The conditions this year, not easy. Not easy on paper, and certainly not easy early on. That 3,400 just proving to be such a huge number at this point. So we really need to make it a point in the future for our last 16 live stream broadcasts of the year. Perhaps talk to these gentlemen in advance and see what their game plan is. We don't have the luxury of being up close and personal like we do at the National Bowling Stadium in Reno. So it'd be nice to know what they're thinking heading into things.
I'll add that to our pregame show.
right, so late in the game now, we're seeing some strikes out of these gentlemen. Maybe there was some first game transition, perhaps, after 10 minutes of practice. Trying to think like a right-hander, but I don't know anything about that.
Well, it's not easy. That's for sure. Always having to deal with some transition. But again, you know, it's all in where everyone else is playing with or within that area that you're trying to play at. I think the degree of difficulty to do some things here at the Open Championships is underrated. You need a lot of skill, some talent, some breaks, a little luck, some things that go your way. Put all that together, you've got a pretty difficult challenge. And I didn't even talk about the lane condition yet. Sign producers too seem to have some ideas. They've been getting the carry. But sign producers 1 has not. Another strike for Kevin Croucher.
Now there's a question in the chat room. Do you think 1800 means more this year? Well, I'm gonna tell you personally, as a 13-year veteran of this fine event, 1800 means a lot every year. That is always my goal, to shoot 1800. That is a good barometer, I think, at this event, no matter what the condition is. If you shoot 1800, you had a solid year, and you're going to take home some prize money, some of the $5 million worth of prize money. I'll say that in my career, I have just 2 1800s. And I was lucky enough to shoot 1900 plus 3 of the last 4 years. So the focus a little bit more intense now. Now that I work here, I understand what this event's about. I understand the passion that some of these gentlemen have. My goal, of course, is still 1800. But I think anytime you can walk out of here saying that you shot that, it's a great feeling. And of course, especially this year, I want to say the conditions look tough on paper, and certainly look tough on the leaderboards early on, but it's still hard to say. No matter what the condition is, I'd be happy. What about you, Mr. Williams?
Well, I guess I would still be considered a newbie. This will make my 3rd Open Championships experience. But, you know, the goal is always for me is, you know, to be plus, of course. And I mean, I think that's everybody's goal. I mean, if you can go out there and get 2,000, then you had yourself a pretty good tournament. You know, and shout out and kudos to you, as you got the pins to fall. But, you know, I don't think there's anything wrong with shooting 1830 as well, especially on what is a pretty tough condition. It's very demanding, of course, as we mentioned earlier. You know, all those things we talked about during team, same thing applies when you're talking about yourself. Doubles, there could be some pressure there. Obviously, you like to do well, not only for yourself, but for your partner. I've heard a lot of stories about one person owns the doubles team, and the other is still kind of working their way to get there. I know I've got some friends who every year, it may not be at this tournament, this particular event, but there's in other doubles events. We seem to alternate years when we want to bowl good. One year it's me, next year it's them, or at a particular tournament. So there's a lot involved. So 1,800 is pretty good in my estimation.
I kind of lied before. My goal used to be 1,800. I thought that was really realistic, and I thought I was capable of that consistently. But my new goal in the last couple of years now is to get within 400 pins of Matt McNeil. A breakout left-hander here the last couple of years, set the all events record in 2010, 23-26, and nearly repeated in 2011, finished third in all events, shooting 22-41 in his title defense, which included a live-streamed 300 and 822 series. So again, if he's going 22, 2300 every year, if I'm within 300 or 400, I'm a happy guy walking out of here. And I think we're looking at possibly a pair of not happy guys right now in front of us, signed producers 1 and 2. Things not going particularly well here in game number 1.
A tough start for sign producers. 1 is Alvin Liu. Missed the 10 pin. His ball went into the channel first, popped out and knocked the 10 pin down. They had that score corrected.
That should count. If you hit it, it counts. It should count.
It was pretty good too. And Chris Sear, who actually dumped one in the channel in the 9th frame, and then came back, changed balls, made the spare, and now he produces a strike on the right lane. First ball in the 10th.
Once again, the number of these teams are shooting at 3401. Nicholas J's Pro Shop 2, La Crosse, Wisconsin. Group of youngsters and their companion team absolutely destroyed the leaderboard earlier this week and put up a number that many thought we wouldn't even come close to at the 2012 event. Last time we were here, 2005. That year we saw 12 300 games, 0 800 series, and a team event winning score of 3,300. So that, of course, a different condition, despite being in the same city. But Baton Rouge now notorious, it looks like, at least through one event in a month. Lower scores, we will see. So there's a 3-bagger for Darren Baginski. He has nearly half of his team's strikes here in game number 1. That ball way right, PBA washout. Spare here puts him as almost the high man on the team here. Take a look at the scoreboard in a minute. Appreciate everybody joining us here on this Saturday night. I believe it's Saturday. The days kind of don't matter here. Opening day and closing day are the two important days here. But thank you all for joining us. I know it's late there on the East Coast. We've got 18 live stream events scheduled from the River Center this year. To stay up to date with all of our live stream action, check out bowl.com. And on the right side of your screen, you will see all of the upcoming live stream events. Not just from here, but from all USBC events. Our associate Lucas Wiseman, always on the go, bringing you the bowling action from around the world. So check out bowl.com for more info, and check out YouTube/BowlTV, youtube.com/BowlTV for all of our archived videos. So let's take a look at the scoreboard here before everything disappears. So things not going well here in the opener for the sign producers. Interesting leave there by Mark Williams. Leaves the 6th pin. And Kevin Croucher now up on the left lane, going to finish things off here. 895 start for sign producers. Bob Handley, 191. Alvin Liu, 177. Chris Cecier, 153. Darren Baginski, 178. And Mark Williams, 196. For sign producers too. You see it, it's right there in front of you. 221 for Charles Sauser, 198, Mark Chimay, Rich Gibson, and there it goes. It's gone. So we'll get back to the action. Emil had a very disgusted look on his face there as that disappeared. It's all part of the challenge of what we do. So we'll head into game number 2. Bob Hanley trying to get things on track here. Looks like a ball change. Almost the same start as game 1. He left the bucket to start out the opener, and gets the 8 to go late here for a 7 count. Let's see if Sauser, high game on the pair, has any luck here. And he's right on. I think everybody needs to take a look at what he's doing and follow suit. So Emil's gonna check on some technical things here for us for a minute, and we're gonna be joined now by Robbie Spagner, very talented young man, a former collegiate standout, and now a solid bowler here at the Open Championships as well. He'll be here with us this weekend. Ran into him last night, checking out some of the action, and again today, upstairs on our showcase lanes, trying to get an idea of what's happening down here at the River Center. Robbie, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Matt. It's good to be here.
Tell me a little bit about your experience upstairs. I know the showcase lanes a very popular feature here. The first time we have those available at the Open Championships. The same lane surface, condition, oil, stripper, cleaner, machines, everything duplicated from down here. But tell me about your session today and how you took advantage of that opportunity.
I'll tell you, coming out here, that was the only thing on my mind that I had to make sure I did before bowling was take advantage of that. I took an hour up there at about 4 o'clock today, and it was huge. I came in thinking that some of my equipment was going to do a certain thing, and I had a game plan in mind, and I got up there, and I quickly learned that maybe I need to scale back that game plan. I drilled a brand new ball, and which is great. It rolls great, but it definitely seemed to be a little bit strong up there, and from what I understand, up there is playing just like down here. So I think I'm a lot smarter going into tomorrow. I was able to kind of de-risk my strategy a little bit and come up with plan B, which didn't really have going into today. So that hour up there gave me time to also get acclimated to the atmosphere here. It's definitely different than it is up in Chicago. It's still pretty cold up there, a little bit warmer down here, a little more humid. So understand how my body was going to react to it and get the balls fitting right while I'm bowling on the exact same conditions. I bowled with one of my teammates and got to see how he was playing the lanes and how that was also going to affect mine. So I'm obviously going to rely heavily on that experience tomorrow when I hit the lanes at 8:30. I think it's imperative, and pretty much anybody coming here would be foolish to not take advantage of it this year.
Okay, well, there you have it. One of our top competitors taking advantage of that opportunity, and you can't put a price tag on.
Well, you can. It's $125 for the hour, but well, as far as value-wise, certainly there is no price tag. It's something. When I look at it, even if it was just me for an hour, $125, and I'm out here bowling for the biggest title in our sport at an amateur and semi-pro level. $125 is a pretty small investment, but when you break it up amongst a couple of your teammates, it's certainly nothing.
Well, speaking of the biggest title out in our sport right now, you don't bowl much, as much as you used to back in our collegiate days, but you had an opportunity recently back home to win a special event.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that, and then tell me what you would value more, your prize at that event or taking home an eagle.
So it's a pretty amazing feeling. This past weekend on Sunday, I won a Chicago tournament called Beat the Champs. And it's something I think really should be replicated across the country, the way the Illinois State Bowling Proprietors Association and specifically the Northern Division do it. Basically, you enter through your league. Everyone in your league competes against each other. And so the first round is essentially 25,000 people around the Chicagoland area competing in their leagues to make it to the regional. And that first week I shot 780 in my league. Fortunate, I happened to show up and bowl. And I made it to our regional, and there are 4 regionals. Mine had 120 people, and you bowl 3 games, and the top 12 out of my regional make it. So I shot 712, and I tied for 11th and 12th. Fortunate to get out of that round, and the final round is 32 people bowling 4 games, switching pairs after each game, and the winner gets a car. And I happened to win it this year. It was a pretty amazing feeling. I shot 211 the first game, and my odds of winning this car didn't look very good. It is a handicap event, so I definitely felt behind the 8 ball on that. Shot 266 the next game after changing pairs, and it's like, all right, I'm back in the thick of it. 248 the third game, and then I was 1 pin out of the lead going to the last game, and in the last game in the 5th frame I had 1 strike through the first 5 and a whole bunch of 9 spares, and odds were not good. But I struck the 6th frame on to win by 19 pins, and I got a brand new 2012 Ford Focus. So I now have this car, and I believe I'm quoted in the papers saying I live in the city, so I have a place to hang a TV, but I don't have a place to park a car. And second place was a 40-inch TV, so there was a pretty steep drop-off and pretty high incentive to win the event.
So then you immediately filled your Ford Focus with bowling balls and drove to Baton Rouge. Is that how it went?
Exactly. So I'm here now, and obviously I got a lot of positive momentum. But when you look at the USBCs, this is the pinnacle of the year for me. It's the pinnacle of the year for my whole family, bowling-wise. I mean, my dad's a champion here and a record holder, and their team finished third in team last year, and that's an amazing feat. Right now, that winning the car ranks right up there with finishing third in doubles in Knoxville, but a win here would just mean the world to me. And it's what I practice for, it's what I prepare for mentally each year. And I got in on Thursday night and I bowl on Sunday night, so that should show you how seriously I take this tournament. And hopefully my performance is a little bit better than last year.
Well, you've been here all week. You've seen some bowling. You've done some bowling. You learned a lot, like you said. Your dad set the bar here pretty high.
Yeah.
Back with the Team All-Events title back in '96, the Team All-Events record. But now you are here before him this year with the opportunity to set the bar for 2012. Now, you practiced upstairs. You have an idea. Now you're watching some pretty talented guys right now. Guys I'm
legends.
sure you've seen growing up in the bowling industry. But what are you learning so far here tonight as far as the strategy and what's working and what ideas that you have, and are those ideas true, or what are you seeing something different?
Yeah, so when I looked at the lanes, the pattern, and then after practicing on it especially, it confirmed that I thought you should be starting a bit further right. You're probably starting at 4, 5, 6, whereas past years they're a little bit tighter. You got to play a little bit further in, but this year I thought it'd play further right. And watching the guys here on 35 and 6, Bob Hanley, Alvin Liu, Mark Williams, some of the best bowlers, Kevin Croucher of their generation. And I watched the way their team did it, and no offense to them, I just didn't think they did a good job as a team playing down. They had guys in the first frame playing anywhere from 6 to 18. So that's too big of a spread. I think this is a team event, and if you look at the champions year in and year out, the great Wisconsin teams. You got K&K Bowling Services that won last year, Team All Events. My dad's team. The great teams bowl as a team, and that's why this is the team event. It's not an individual thing, so everybody has to work together and be constantly communicating. When I look out here at these guys, it just doesn't seem like everyone's firing in the same direction. So it confirms to me that if you guys aren't lined up, you're not working together, it's going to make it really hard. And that showed. They shot 895 and 961, and I'll tell you what, for those that don't know, these teams have more talent than you can measure, and certainly better than a 960 and an 890 team.
All right, well, before we let you go, you're about 22 hours away from game time. And, again, you practice, you learned some stuff today. What's the game plan going in?
Well, it's really sleep in a little bit tomorrow, get a good lunch, come in, watch the 230 squad, watch my pair. I'll be on 39 and 40. And then go back to my hotel, take it easy. It's really a low-key day, conserving my energy as much as possible. And then when I go out there tomorrow, I'm just going to be using Storm Ball, Furious, and probably a Rain, two of their older balls, but they've had a long shelf life for being very successful. Want something that's going to read the pattern a little bit easier when it comes off of the pattern. Light surface, and I want to be around 7, 8, 9 to begin and follow it in from there. And ideally, our team will not get in past 15. Like the team that's leading it, if you look at them, they didn't get in deep as well. So it's a matter of keeping everybody in our team in line and working together and not making any stupid decisions myself. So got to make my spares. That's what this is about. Mark Williams just shot 196, and he had one double and no opens for 196. And that goes a long way in this when you have side events and even in all events. You never know what you pop for the next 8 games.
Now we have a question in the chat room. Who's on your team this year?
My team is a good friend of mine, Vinny Tilson. He's from Washington, D.C. He went to University of Chicago, and I met him when he was in school in Chicago. Another is Kristen Niter from Chicago. She bowled for Ohio State, and she actually spent some time out on the women's tour post-college. Lester C., who's formerly of Kalamazoo, Michigan, but now Jacksonville, Florida. He's my doubles partner. In the past, we finished third in doubles in Knoxville. And then another gentleman, Noel McElroy, from the Chicago area, who's a student of my dad's, and we picked up last year. for the team. So it's some folks, some not widely known names in bowling, but friends of mine and some folks that work together as a team.
And how'd the 5 of you guys and all your bowling balls look traveling down the highway in your Ford Focus?
It looks good. We have one guy who's still on the road from Chicago. He called me in the middle of the day. He says, I'm outside Memphis. I'll be there at midnight tonight. Don't worry. I said, don't worry, Noel. We know you'll show up.
All right, sir. Well, we appreciate you coming on with us. It's Robbie Spigner, and you can check out his scores after tomorrow night and Monday on bowl.com. So check that out, and we appreciate you coming on tonight. Good luck.
Thanks for having me, Matt. Good luck to everybody this year.
Appreciate it. I have no email. What happened? I have no email. I don't have the following. I don't have that radio face.
All right, so that was Robbie Spigner, the son of USBC Hall of Famer Bill Spigner, a record holder and champion here at the Open Championship. So very cool to hear some of his ideas and strategies and what he's learned just in a couple days here in Baton Rouge. Again, get here early, watch some bowling, take advantage of the showcase lanes upstairs to test some of your game plans and theories. All bowlers have the opportunity to schedule a session with USBC Silver Coach Bill Hall for $200. And you can practice for an hour with or without your teammates for $125 during prime time, $90 in off-peak hours. Again, while we do put a price tag on that opportunity, it seems like a priceless advantage here at the Open Championships that for many bowlers so far has translated to excellent results on the leaderboard. So for more information on that, once again, visit bowl.com. And Emil back on the headset. Emil also from the Chicago area. And not far from, is it Vernon Hills?
Vernon Hills.
Where Spigners used to have their bowling center, Hawthorne Lanes.
Bowled there once or twice my day. In fact, used to bowl they had a youth PBA sport league. They probably still have it, but I competed in that a few years back when I was a young tyke.
Of course, that sport league, those challenging sport conditions, I would imagine, help prepare you for your collegiate bowling career and potentially for finding success here at the Open Championships now as an adult bowler.
Absolutely, and you know, any opportunity you get to bowl something that is tough, maybe a sport pattern or a PBA pattern or something, by all means try to take advantage of that. Bowl in the sport league at Beverly Lanes a couple years in a row, where Les Sykes is actually the proprietor, and Lyle. And Les will be here July 2nd, as a matter of fact, making his 60th appearance here at the Open Championships.
Excellent milestone, 60 years. A couple of years ago, we shared his 100,000 pin milestone with him. And he just continues to rack up the accolades. Hall of Famer, of course. Multi-time champion here at the Open Championships. The only bowler in history to win 3 consecutive years.
But both Les and Lyle are doing a great job of running their sport league. Very challenging. But of course, you know, be encouraged to test your skills. Right? Get on out there and break that shell. It's the only way you'll ever know how good you really are, to be quite honest with you. And
I'm not that good. That's why I'm standing back here watching the bowlers who are.
And then quite possibly the ultimate test, or not the ultimate, but, you know, to go the step farther is when you probably enter some PBA regionals and whatnot, and then you can really hone in. So you take those sport league skills, take it to a regional, see what that does for you, where you stack up against some regional players and exempt players as well. I know many then will continue on, bowl a few national tour stops if you do not go all out and make that dream a reality of becoming a full-time touring pro.
Well, we've got some former touring pros and PBA celebrities right in front of us. And looks like Mark Williams figured some things out here in game number 2. He had one double in the opener. Let's take a look at the scoreboard right now. We're in the 4th frame of game number 2. As you can see, things did not go well in game 1, but hopefully these guys have figured something out here. In the chat room tonight, looks like a bit of a family reunion. Some familiar faces, I believe. Hard to figure out who everybody is, but they're throwing some names around so far. I've seen Mike Flanagan, one of your old buddies from the St. Louis area. Ronnie Horton. Dave Armstrong, I believe. A lot of our regulars tuning in to see how the lanes are being played and what's working here at the Open Championships before they come out. And while we have a chance, I'm going to pull up the rest of our live stream schedule for this year. Perhaps we'll see who's coming up. Or not.
Great shot from Kevin Croucher. Gives himself a double. And a spare for Mark Williams. It's already a different feel for Sign Producers 1. A couple more X's on the board so far early in game number 2.
All right, here it is. I found it. Our live stream schedule.
You mean you don't know it by heart, is what you're saying?
Well, I want to make sure I don't leave anybody out.
Oh, okay.
So our next broadcast, March 17th, we talked about earlier, Junior Team USA supports. Just a couple quick names from that team: Eric Vermelia, Amanda Vermelia, Sean Ryan, Clay Herbeck, PJ Haggerty, Matthew Tuckfield, Jeffrey Merce,
Ronnie Sparks,
David
O'Sullivan.
All right, so all collegiate bowlers, Junior Team USA, Team USA, very familiar names. That is, I imagine, going to be a very exciting broadcast on St. Patrick's Day. So there'll be some jolly folks in the chat room that night, I'm sure, doing some celebrating and watching some bowling as well.
Yeah.
And then 2 days later, we get to see 8-time Open Championships titleist Bill Lillard Sr. inching closer to the all-time pinfall record here at the Open Championships. His pinfall through 64 consecutive years, 118,526. He will celebrate 65 consecutive years. He'll take home a personalized, engraved, almost one-of-a-kind 65-year ring here at the Open Championships. That milestone reached only by 4 other bowlers in tournament history. The record participation, of course, 71 years by Bill Dorman and Joe Norris. And then on April 3rd, another familiar name, John Gaines, a 3-time champion here at the Open Championships, and he has stacked his team again this year to make a run here in 2012. That group includes former Team USA member Vernon Peterson, current Team USA member John Janowitz, recent PBA Tour champion Scott Newell, who's not far out of the youth ranks, believe it or not. Scotty and I bowled not too long ago, although the years are adding up. But Scott recently took home his first national title, and so he'll be joining us as part of that group. And a couple other folks from Florida that I actually grew up with. Matt Gilman, a very talented guy who you may have never heard of, but will enjoy watching on that broadcast. That's April 3rd at 9:30 Eastern. Then on April 6th, some more familiar Team USA names. Stephanie Nation will be in the house, and one of her teammates, former PBA Rookie of the Year Chris Johnson, I believe, in that group. April 12th, SMB Pro Shop. That includes Billy Orlikowski, a doubles champion at this event. And then on April 16th, two-time champion Matt Wegan came out of nowhere last year, became the first bowler to roll back-to-back 800 series on the tournament lanes. I had never heard of him prior to that. I was not even in town. I was on my way to the Women's Championships in Syracuse, and I got a voicemail when I got off the plane that history had been made. Emil, can you tell us about that day and what to expect from Matt Wegan when we take a look at him on April 16th?
Well, that day was it was different, of course. It's different anytime you create history, but also exciting at the same time because you never know when it's going to happen. And so for us, of course, with our heads always on a swivel, always in proper preparation mode, sometimes you just can't be prepared for things that, you never, not that you don't expect it, but you don't know when it's going to happen. But nonetheless, Matt did his thing. He first started in doubles. Strikes begin to pile up. They begin to pile up. And he said, "Congratulations, sir. Great 800. Look forward to talking with you." And then all of a sudden, he just doesn't stop striking. And so his 800 turned into another 800. In fact, it was 826 on the bookend for singles, which earned him a singles title as well as an all events title with 2268. So
as I mentioned, I no offense to Matt, I've never been to Muscatine, Iowa. I did not know him prior to that day. I've talked to him many times since, and at this point, there may be people out there who don't know who he is, and
I'm willing to bet that.
I don't think he cares. He's got 2 eagles,
and that's what it's about. That's part of it. Of course, sometimes you don't know or have never heard of a particular individual. I actually just happen to know people from Iowa, and not soon after they, were talking to me or I called them, and, they said, "Yeah, I know him," and, he has a very unorthodox style. And I think that with most folks who may have an unorthodox style, people will stop watching them bowl because they think that from what their approach says, they can't bowl. But that is not the case. Matt Wegan.
Well, the world will see on April 16th, Matt Wegan's team event. We'd love to show you his doubles and singles, but Lucas Wiseman will be on the road live streaming elsewhere. So we'll at least get 3 games to look at Mr. Wegan, who shot 636 in team last year and went back to the hotel a little disappointed in his performance and certainly made up for it the next day. That's April 16th. And April 28th, we'll see Billy Murphy and former collegiate standout April Ellis will be here as well, part of that group. So that wraps up March and April, and that's plenty for right now. We'll get the rest of that schedule later or next time, but right now, certainly let's not forget about signed producers 1 and 2 on lanes 35 and 6 here at the Baton Rouge River Center. A little bit of a struggle in game number 1 as we take a look at the scoreboard here for those of you possibly just joining us. 895, and these familiar names, these guys have been around, they know how to bowl, but a rough start, it happens. 961, first time producers 2. The number they're chasing, 3401. Nicholas J's Pro Shop from La Crosse, Wisconsin. A huge number. Prior to their arrival, the leader at 3,088. And then the 2 companion teams obliterated the leaderboard. They grabbed the top 2 spots. So we'll take a moment now, Mr. Williams, to give the rundown of some of our other events. Of course, bowlers come to town here for about 3 to 4 days, and they're going to bowl team, doubles, and singles at the Open Championships. And of course, all 9 games add up to your all events total. So let's have a rundown of the other leading scores here at the 2012 Open Championships.
All right, Matt. In regular doubles, currently, Chris Hans from Rocky Mount, North Carolina, and Ryan Whitney from Louisville, Texas. 1420, the current top number in doubles. I actually saw those 2 personally set that score, and then kind of the same deal, same flow. The momentum kept going.
Well, as you continue, I believe we coined a term that day, or we discovered that we had coined a term at that point when I visited with Mr. Whitney after that doubles effort, 1420. He shot 766, and I told him keep it up. And he wasn't so sure that the next pair would be as kind as the first. And as Emil will tell you in just a minute, it ended up being. And I believe the term that we used that day is that he Matt Wegened it. He did not shoot the lights out in the team event. Came back with a clear mind the next day. Shot huge in doubles, and returned for another big set in singles. It wasn't back-to-back 800s, but on this year's condition, perhaps it was the equivalent. So the new term, he did a Matt Wagon.
He definitely did. He definitely pulled the Matt Wagon. There's no question about it, because moving forward and switching pairs with singles, Whitney then provided us with 256, 217, and 300, the first 300 of this year's event for 773. And that is still on top. Got to give credit to Vale Floria, because on the same squad, Vale put up 755, had his own run at 300 the first game. He had the front 10 before a 7-count stopped him. It was a 247, shot 287. Then followed with 219 and 249 for 755. So on the same day, we had 773 and 755 on the same squad as well. Definitely not uncommon here at the Open Championships. That's a lot of scores during the same squad as well. And then Mr. Whitney again on top, regular all events. 631, 766, 773, 21, 17.
So it seems like heading into March, the leaderboards are pretty much ice cold. Scores not very high, and then March 1st comes around, and boom, there's an avalanche. Just the scores, everything on fire here, and perhaps seeing some scores we didn't expect to see this early. Some great numbers up there for everyone to come through and shoot at. And I believe I heard earlier, this is day 29, if I'm not mistaken, of the 2012 event. 151 days this year, a near record. Of course, the most days we've ever had for an Open Championships, 2009 in Las Vegas, 154 days. So we're about 12,000 teams strong, still getting those final numbers put together after the entry deadline just closed. it's going to be an exciting couple of months here. We are jam-packed wall to wall from here on out. So we're hoping for a lot of excitement here from the River Center. Our first trip back here since 2005 when we made our debut in Louisiana. And down the road for the Open Championships, well, next year, 2013 and 14, we're headed to Reno, Nevada, back to the National Bowling Stadium. But a little bit different look for those 2 years. We'll have the Women's Championships right down the street at the Reno Sparks Convention Center. So a lot of great opportunities there for families to travel together, bowl together, and for the ladies to bowl both tournaments in one trip. So very cool to have that chance. And then 2015, the Open Championships heads to El Paso. And then in 16, back to our regularly scheduled visit to the National Bowling Stadium. So still a long way down the road, a long way to go here in Baton Rouge. And tonight, we are coming towards the end of game number 2 on this 8:30 team event. We're behind lanes 35-6. Watching some talented senior players try to get it done as Kevin Croucher mixes them up, gets the 5 to go late. And now we're going to get a look on the left lane at Bob Handley. He notorious for hooking the ball. Well, let's see if he can hook the ball here for another strike. Just 2 this game. Ball goes a little bit high, leaves a 4-pin. And the rumor on the streets is that if you get the ball in on this year's condition, it's going to hook a lot. And in our previous broadcast, we saw some other former PBA standouts have some difficulty, and it seems like the more left you move, the earlier the ball hooks. And the more you try to get it out, the less it hooks. So you really have to be on top of your game here. As Hanley got in a little bit now here in game number 2, leaves the 4-pin. And then you see on the right lane, Darren Baginski gets the ball wide, lucky to leave just the 8. So I'm going to guess, again, not being right-handed, but if you get the ball in about between the 3rd and 4th arrow and it hooks too much, but you get the ball out too far, and it doesn't hook back, you probably want to throw it somewhere in between. And pretty consistently.
That's a good guess.
So the strategy that we've heard early, you want to be around 7, 8, 9 early, creep left, use that rangefinder down lane at the 10 board as a break point target. And it's a real basic strategy. Simple thoughts from a left-hander, I guess.
Kind of like Rocky out there. I see 3 of them. I'll hit the one in the middle. yeah, hit the one in the middle.
And there you have it.
Little Uncle Paulie reference right there.
Sometimes you don't want to overthink it. It's just that easy.
There should be a lot of up the board movement, at least to start. So far from what I've seen. You know, and then as you continue to migrate, at least for right-handers, as you continue to migrate left, and then you make your adjustments accordingly. Still with the mindset not to almost give away the pocket. You don't want to be that far away from the pocket. And a prime example right there is what we just saw on lane 35 from Mr. Liu, although that one clearly got away from him at the bottom of the swing. But it's a prime example right there. Got it right early, and they kept going.
Well, here's some more simple thoughts that, that I'm sure you've caught before. But being left-handed, we have a built-in mechanism. It's a no-fail. Guaranteed. See, we're talking about getting in too deep too soon, getting early hook, Well, when you're left-handed, if you get too deep at any point, you get a nosebleed. And so you know at that point, get back left. There you go. It's built in. It's nature's warning sign. You're too deep. There you go. Doesn't get any easier than that.
I actually have a friend who will be coming out to bowl the tournament in a couple of weeks. He is left-handed, but if I remember correctly, I haven't seen him in a couple of years. He's been serving our country in the Navy. Bowled junior league together and up until our early or late youth years, I should say. But he likes to kind of hook it, and he's left-handed. So I might have to give him a shout before, see what his thinking is. Maybe I'll have him talk to Matt Canizaro. see what equipment he's bringing. See if he's got a 500 grit game breaker.
I know you're going to find this very hard to believe, but I've talked to some folks. I've watched some bowling. I want to put together an arsenal. Yeah, I know. I know.
How about
it's always good to go with the old standby. But I'm going to try some things, and I'm going to do that upstairs on the showcase lanes. I've got all kinds of equipment at my fingertips, and I'm going to take advantage of that. I'm going to give it all a try upstairs. Might even talk to Bill Hall, USBC Silver Coach, and say, hey, Bill, here's what I got. What do I need to do to find success downstairs at the Open Championships? I don't want to let my team down. And one of these years, I want to give Matt McNeil a run for his money. Last year, another top left-hander, Andrew Kane, helped take home a team all-event title. So I'll do everything in my power to be as good as those guys. But as Mr. Williams mentioned earlier, his friend who will be here, it seems that everybody knows Emil Williams Jr. comes to town. Emil's always here, whether he's working or not, day off or not. He's here watching somebody. Right now he's watching these gentlemen from Florida come up in the stands with some snacks and beverages, and none for us. Not cool. And we just let that gentleman charge his cell phone.
I know, right?
Right on our power strip, and he doesn't bring us any nachos. And for those of you who don't know, the easiest way to Emil's heart is to bring him snacks. One of my favorite live stream stories of all time, out of our long 3-year live stream career. While we were watching some very entertaining bowling on that day, somehow the conversation got steered to what to eat in Reno when you're not bowling. And Popeye's chicken came up as a topic of conversation. And as soon as we got done with the live stream, got back to the office, and there was some Popeye's chicken and biscuits on Emil's desk. So, wish and you shall receive, I suppose.
That was a great day. Although I've yet to go to Popeyes here. And this is Louisiana. This is the home of Popeyes.
Louisiana cooking. And of course now we're on my favorite topic. Funny how that happens every time.
Great segue.
So we've already established that I'm not that good at bowling, so I write about it and talk about it. But, I am good at eating, and I know, and that's what I like to do in my free time. And I don't know, but I'm gonna imagine that after the first game here tonight, some of the gentlemen we're watching perhaps were wishing they were at some restaurant somewhere. As we see Bob Handley with a 7-10. there on lane 36. So a bad night just getting worse for these gentlemen. Hanley with 2 strikes this game. And it started the night with a 191 game, so things not going well. But let's test out our very cool camera angle as we watch him pick this up. See if we can make this work.
First ever on the
There it is.
live stream.
No, sir. It's like he's stuck on the approach a little bit there. Of course, Louisiana a little bit humid. But a brisk 66 degrees in the Baton Rouge River Center lane side. Trying to keep it comfortable for our bowlers. And as Robbie Spider mentioned earlier, the weather and conditions are a lot different here than back home in Chicago where he's from, and anywhere. So of course you want to get as comfortable as you can with your environment. Be prepared to make adjustments not only with your bowling equipment on our challenging lane condition, but with your shoes as well.
Absolutely.
So technology out there allows you to change your soles and heels, and there's a 100% guarantee that the conditions here are going to be different than what you'll see at home, no matter what, because nobody bowls league here.
No matter what. That's right.
At the Open Championships venue. These approaches, Brunswick's latest and greatest textured synthetic approaches, so as much like wood as you can get with a synthetic. I think personally they are the best approaches that I've ever bowled on. They came about, at least as far as I know, back last time we were here, 2005. First time I remember seeing those. Very cool idea, but again, very different than what you're going to experience at home. So one way to take advantage of that, of course, again, and we can say it 1,000 times, go upstairs, check out the showcase lanes. Same approaches, same lanes, same everything. Just an awesome opportunity to get comfortable.
Absolutely. I actually went to a local center in the area, and I guess for about the past 4 to 5 months or so, I've actually gone back to sliding my approach. And now that I was really just kind of getting used to sliding again, forgot the humidity. You know, obviously the soles are still set for home, and the soles and the heels, and needless to say, I didn't go anywhere. Which back in the day I'd be okay with that. I wouldn't have a care in the world, plant and throw, and I'm all good. But now I'm sliding a little bit and have to go back to understanding what other people have to go through when they happen to stick at the approach, or on the approach rather. And so make sure you carry your soles and heels on your carry-on if you happen to be flying. This a food for thought tip there. Or you could just put them in the box and ship them via Bowling Ball Express. Or if you're a VIP member, you get $25 off shipping them to and shipping them from the venue.
Yeah, we had the opportunity this week to get a visit from some University of Massachusetts graduate students who are working on a graduate project, doing some surveys and some research about the Open and Women's Championships. And we basically had the opportunity to explain this event to some non-bowlers and how everything works, and you know, all of our little programs and specialties, and trying to describe walking through an airport with 8 bowling balls and a backpack and a suitcase and a couple of cell phones and my iPod and everything that it takes to travel these days. They were very impressed with the convenience of Bowling Ball Express. Of course, part of our job here is to sell those products, I guess. And but really, it's an amazing convenience for the bowlers to simply drop the equipment off at the UPS store and then have it waiting literally 100 yards, if not less, from the scales here at the River Center. Just open the box. There you go. 100 yards later, you're on the scales, headed back to the squadron. And when you're done bowling, walk off the lanes, put them back in the box. As you see a spill there from Hanley, still having trouble with the approaches. So it looks like we're going to get possibly some approach cleanup or a wire brush here. Or a new pair of shoes. We will see what Hanley's up to. Yes, he has a backup pair of bowling shoes, so perhaps that was the way to do it, as Chip McKee would say. In the classic days, we don't want to say the old days or that these gentlemen are old in any way. They are experienced, and I guess perhaps before there was Velcro interchangeable soles and heels, he simply had a backup pair of shoes. So Hanley's going to shoe up and make another go at it. And it appears that he fouled on that shot, so they're going to give him a full rack. We'll take this chance to look at the scoreboard. We're heading into frame number 10 of the second game. So tonight not going particularly well for the sign producers. And while we have this TV timeout, there's a question in the chat room about Emil's personal style. Why did you switch to sliding instead of planting?
That's a good question. Well, the main reason, although I'm still, I guess what you could call fairly young, I like to have a knee as I get older, and started to have some slight knee pain. Not much, but of course my coach back home had been telling me for years, of course, to try to get more knee bend. I'm fairly tall, but also to stop playing it, of course. But I was having no trouble at all, and then, you know, once you stop bowling 50 to 60 games a week, and this may sound backwards, but I actually felt more pain when I bowled less than when I bowled more. I used to bowling 50, 60, 70 games a week all the time.
So, not to interrupt your story there, but appears to be a bit of a rough frame for Bob Hanley. Turns into gutter 3. So not quite the finish to game number 2 that he was hoping for. So 164 to go along with 191 in the opener. So he'll take this opportunity to shake that off, I'm sure. As we move on, Alvin Liu stepping up on the left lane, looking for a double here. Solid game for him after a couple of opens in the beginning. But back to your story, Mr. Williams.
Yeah, so I used to bowl in 50, 60, 70 games a week. You know, no pain, very active, of course, still young at heart, doing the things in college, all that kind of stuff. And, you know, once you graduate, move on, sometimes you bowl less, depending on, you know, how life's what life is, or I should say, if life is getting in the way, if whatever may be the case, you got to take care of other responsibilities. Sometimes your bowling suffers.
I believe they call that being a grown-up.
Being an adult, and so I didn't bowl as much. And then when I did bowl, start to have a little pain. So I'm not an excruciating or anything, but you know, it's also good for the knee. In fact, it helps my game out. Give it a little better extension, a little better leverage at the at the foul line. Still working on it, though. It's still a work in progress. Still got to coordinate that with the proper timing.
I believe every great bowler is a work in progress. Wait.
If you're insinuating that I'm great,
well,
I'd have to say you must be talking about yourself.
Well, I was gonna say that that I do experience some pain when I bowl as well. Mostly it's from the people watching. They're the ones in pain, but but no. In that instance, I was alluding to my good friend Jason Belmonte, name drop, who is constantly working on some things. And really, you never settle. You're never happy. There's always something to work on. And Emil, of course, a collegiate national champion. I like to mention that on every single broadcast at least once. And if you haven't seen,
I don't like it.
If you haven't seen the championship braids and the getup on Emil Williams Jr. back in 2005, I encourage you, please check out my personal fan page.
You guys pulling all the stops this evening.
On Facebook. Please, absolutely.
Those are good times right there.
It is Matt Canizaro, USBC on Facebook. There's quite a picture of Emil Williams Jr. getting it done on the way to his collegiate national championship in 2005. Don't miss that. Remember to like that page. And in return, you'll have prime access to some great behind-the-scenes thoughts and information from the Open Championships from Emil and I, and even Aaron Smith, who'll be checking in at the Women's Championships.
Aaron Smith, shout out to Aaron Smith, my guy from Northwest Indiana, Highland to be exact.
So
also follow us on Twitter. Follow the USBC. The handle is @USBC for all your daily news notes, updates around the USBC from around the sport in general. Catch it all at USBC. Also follow myself. I am also on Twitter @EWJR. I also will tweet news and notes from the tournament as well, and some other thoughts.
So what you're saying is, if I follow USBC on Twitter, I would have been one of the first to know that 2 mornings ago, Al Pilon. Al from East Grand Forks, Minnesota, rolled the second perfect game of the 2012 Open Championships, the very first game of doubles at 7 a.m.
You would have known that.
So I was wide awake, of course, trying to get my early morning workout on, and it was interrupted abruptly with the news of front 7, front 8, front 9, 300 game, first game of doubles on the fresh condition at 7 a.m. So, stopped the workout. Sean T was not very happy with me, but I made my way to work and talked to Mr. Al Pilon, who was very excited. A dream come true. And moments later, that news was on Twitter. That was a roundabout story, by the way. And within a couple of hours, the full details and a picture of Mr. Pilon on bowl.com. So I encourage you to check out that story, find out how Mr. Pilon found success at the Open Championships and what it means to him, along with other great news, stories, notes, pictures, videos, you name it. Bowl.com, Open Championships page. There's 5 webcams in the venue right now, 2 streaming cameras, and 3 point-and-click cameras, so you don't miss a minute of the action here at the River Center while we're not live streaming for you. So check that out along with the latest scores. And speaking of scores, while we have a chance, before Game 3 begins. Here's a look at signed producers 1 and 2. This game going a little bit better for both teams, but certainly a long way from 3,400 they were hoping for. Right now, Bob Hanley having some approach trouble. Finished this game with 174. Alvin Liu, 203. Chris Cecere, 161 with the open frame there in the 10th. Darren Baginski, big game, 235. Highest game of the night on this pair. Mark Williams going to finish things out here on signed producers 2. Salzer, as you see, 198. Chimay, 215. Rich Gibson struggled this game. He started the night with 185, comes back with 155 in game number 2. Bill Freeland, 165, improves to 194. Kevin Croucher, 192 to 203 here in game number 2. Mark Williams finishes with 216, and there it goes. So just like that, the memory of game number 2 is erased. Solid improvement though, 895 to 988. And a small improvement for signed producers 2, 961 to 965. That's the way it goes sometimes. We are so far, unfortunately, 0 for 2 on the excitement level on our live stream broadcast. So that's where we come in to bring in our own excitement. Myself, Matt Canizaro, Media Relations Manager here at the Open Championships, and my sidekick, the human firework, Emil Williams Jr. We're on site for the entire Open Championships this year. Emil brings the talent, and I just carry the computer down.
Young man never gives himself enough credit. Hopefully Mr. Hanley can pick this one up, though. He doesn't. Been a tough last two frames for him. Strikes in the 10th and then sticks, falls, and fouls. On the second ball in the 10th, a foul, and he gets 3. You see Witcher change his shoes. And final shot in the 10th last game. Got 3 for 174, and then on the same lane, here leaves the 5-10. So that kind of situation right there can make the arm swing tighten up a little bit.
Looks like he's still messing with the shoes a little bit. Once again, as we mentioned, the atmosphere and the environment here in Baton Rouge is much different than you see at home. I wouldn't think too much different from Florida, where these guys are coming from, but you never know. But, in an environment like this on the big stage, sometimes the approaches, the adjustments that must be made are just as crucial as the adjustments on the lanes.
Absolutely. That story I talked about earlier where I went to the center. When I went to the center to practice a little bit, I actually forgot my bag of soles and heels. So I was just kind of stuck.
No
pun intended.
Hey,
how about that? But not even thinking about it, to be dead honest with you. I mean, like, again, coming from what I was doing previously and trying to make the adjustment, I looked down on my shoe and I had 2, I believe they're Dexter number 2, the brakes on both shoes. And I said, oh, supposed to have a number 5 on there. And
that's the brakes, kid.
Right. Supposed to have a number 5 there, and looked in the bag and it was nowhere to be found. So. But always just a word to the wise. Always make sure you have those. And, as Matt mentioned, can be that different from Florida, where he has spent a lot of his time, and as well as these gentlemen we are watching. Humidity probably a little similar to Chicago as well, but Chicago in June and July. This is still March here in Baton Rouge, so obviously a little warmer here early than most places. So that's something to be prepared for, to keep in mind. So if you have an extra pair of shoes, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea, actually, to go ahead and bring those along.
Well, while we're giving out tips, I have two very important tips while you're in the venue here at the Open Championships. And they might not seem like big deals, but sometimes they create some very humorous moments here at the Open Championships. Of course, not polite to laugh at other people's expense, but two of the biggest mishaps and mistakes that we have here at the Open Championships. Great advice. Number one, it seems that every time there's a team squad marching out, down center aisle, one of the coolest moments in all of bowling, I think, walking out, seeing the crowd, the bright lights, the goosebumps, everything. You get to the end center aisle, you make your turn to go to your lanes. You're thinking about what your game plan is. You got your head on, you're focused. At least one person every single march will get to the end center aisle, make that turn, and drop the bag on the ground. Drop the handle. So rule number one, or advice number one, hold on tight to that bag when you're walking down center aisle, because there's a lot of eyes on you. And we're right above the lanes, and it tends to make for a funny moment or two. And number two advice, moments later, when it's time to get on the lanes and practice begins, please, please, please make sure to take off your shoe covers. We've seen more than enough folks forget that minor detail. I know personally I don't even use the shoe cover except when I come to this event, when I know I'm in the squad room walking out center aisle. And please remember, there's nothing worse than starting your Open Championships campaign doing a header on the lane. So two very important tips right up there with make your spares.
That is fantastic advice right there, Matt. We're not all about fun here, folks. We care about your well-being as well, okay? We want you to be safe out there. We don't want you to get hurt. So that shoe cover deal is a big one. It's a common mistake made by everybody, so just be aware, be cautious.
Well, like you said, we're here for your safety. We don't want you to get hurt. Now, we can't help your pride, unfortunately. And of course, the 10 gentlemen in front of us, things not going well for them. I imagine they will head back to the hotel tonight and hopefully regroup. Seen a lot of bowling balls here so far. Saw some dull equipment early on. And looks like some shinier equipment. So sidetracked for a moment there. Some very eager bowlers and family and friends tuning in at home, checking out the live stream. Our featured pair tonight, 35 and 36. Assigned producers 1 and 2 from Winter Garden, Florida. Now we have our live stream schedule set for the year. 18 official broadcasts. You never know when something's going to pop up where we say, hey, that's a pretty good looking, awesome team. We want to get out there and show some bonus coverage. You never know. But 18 items on the schedule for the year. And if your team, your friends, your family are not on that featured pair, don't fret. We do have some other cameras available on bowl.com, 2 video feeds, 1 on each side of the bowling center. one on each side of the bowling center, so you can check out the action. You do not have control over those cameras, however. It will pan from one group of lanes to the next, every 3.5 minutes. But we have our traditional point and click cameras, 3 of those in the venue. 2 behind the lanes, 1 behind the scoreboard, so you can zoom in, check out your friends, take pictures, email pictures, check out the photo album. So you will not miss a minute of the action. If you want to find those webcams, Emil, where do you go?
Well, you go to, first you go to bowl.com, of course, and then hover over the tournaments tab, the tournaments page. Tab, click it, find Open Championships, click that. That will take you to the Open Championships page. And then the fourth, you can click there, or there is a series of boxes below, each personalized with names, information. One of them says webcams, so you click on that. And there's actual instructions on how to navigate through the point and click webcams or the video cams that are live and rotate every 3 minutes or so. So there are instructions. We are here for you. Actually had a lot of questions, a lot of comments. I believe people, either they can't find the webcams and they think they are not there. But they are indeed there, and in multiple places where you can find them.
We do have a brand new design on bowl.com, recently launched. Some great new features and a bold new color and whole great template. But a lot of the same information in the same places. So we didn't change the basic structure of bowl.com. So everything is still there. Labeled pretty much the same thing, but of course, if you have any questions, don't be shy. And we want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. You did find us on bowl.com or on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/bowltv. So thank you. If you came in late, you'd like to check out the first part of this broadcast, you can do so. The archived video will be on our YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe, and then you'll get the latest updates and other news, so you won't miss any future live stream broadcasts.
And if you'd like just a tour of the venue, to get familiar with what's happening here at the Open Championships, again, that is a great tool to look and see what's happening. And if you know somebody, have some family bowling, have some friends bowling, another opportunity to view their lanes, the scoreboard, view it live, point and click, all of the above.
And if you're curious about this year's lane condition, you can find the information box on the Open Championships page. Click into that, you'll find the lane condition graph and a link to our very first Open Championships kickoff special, where we unveiled the pattern on February 10th. We had some experts in to analyze it, discuss what was going to work this year at the Open Championships, amongst other things. A tour of the venue, a brief cameo, yours truly, and Emil Williams Jr. as well, giving our insights early on. Definitely check that out, both under the information box on the Open Championships page or on our YouTube channel, among other great videos so far. Our doubles leaders, the very first 300 game caught on video, and of course our team leaders, the number that everybody's shooting at right now, 34-01, so don't miss out. So all that great stuff on bowl.com.
So far, third game looking to be the charm for both teams. They started off very well. Just 2 opens out of the 10 bowlers on this pair. A couple of individuals with 3 backers. Alvin Liu is one of them. He's set to step up on lane 36, as well as Charles Salzer now on lane 35.
Well, it seems like from the first two games, starting wasn't the trouble for these two teams. They got off to terrific starts both games, and then things kind of, I don't want to say derailed after that, but did not go as well as expected, especially based on the start.
Here's Lou right now. That one checked very early. He finds himself with a 310.
Yeah, Lou started the night with some surface on his bowling ball, went to something a little bit shinier in game number 2, and as we saw at the end of game number 2, and now here again, once that shiny surface sees some of the friction, a lot of balls through the face here, a lot of 3-6-10s, 3-10s.
I want to make sure I practice that spare, or those spares, I should say. There's definitely some hook out here, folks. But again, the key, don't let your eyes deceive you. Yes, there is hook, but you probably don't make the normal move you would, or the move you would normally make at lead. That's probably not the move here. We are in the 4th frame here of our second official live stream broadcast. Sign producers 1 and 2. A lot of former PBA members, current PBA Senior Tour members. And there is Baginski, a solid 235 game. In game number 2, finds himself strike, spare 9. We appreciate you tuning in, of course. And if you have any questions, of course, feel free to ask. We'll try to answer them as best we can. Appreciate whoever asked me the question. Did not get the username out there, but thanks. Of course, I'd be the first to say I'm not the most knowledgeable individual, but I think I've come to learn a thing or two about the sport. One that we all know and love.
Trying to take a peek up and down the concourse here to see if there's any other noteworthy scores, and I'm really not seeing anything in the building tonight. I know just perusing tonight's squad assignment, I didn't see a lot of familiar names outside of the 10 gentlemen we're looking at right now. But however, I believe we did have some excitement at the nearby Bowlers Journal Championships today. That is our side event presented by USBC. We got a visit from Jim Riffle, who's running that event over at Metro Bowl, and he brought us a couple of score sheets. And I'll let Emil tell you a little bit more about what happened over there today.
Well, had the first 300 game, I believe, to our knowledge at least, but that should be the first 300 game in the Bowlers Journal Championship. That was shot by Rod Neuschwander. And not only did Mr. Neuschwander shoot 300, but in a separate instance, a separate double set. That wasn't doubles, by the way. It's a separate double set. Went on ahead and took the lead with his partner, Eric George. So, congratulations to Rod Neuschwander. 300 His 4-game set was 207, 211, 214, and 300 in game 4 for 932. And then he partnered with Eric George to roll 1822.
Wow. Pretty solid number. So new this year to the Bowlers Journal Championships, we've added some handicap divisions. There's a 199 and under handicap singles option, and mixed doubles now is handicap as well. So definitely trying to cater to some different folks to encourage them to go out there and welcome the opportunity to compete, sharpen their skills a little bit, get loosened up, and potentially win some additional prize money. So that's the Bowlers Journal Championships presented by USBC and Storm over at Metro Bowl. For more information, you can check bowl.com or stop by the information counter here at the Open Championships. And I believe Emil will be talking to those gentlemen in the next day or so to get some of their thoughts from that event. And we'll see how they perform over here at the Baton Rouge River Center at the 2012 USBC Open Championships.
$18.22, pretty good score.
So we'll take a second here to take a look at the chat room here on our YouTube channel. A couple of questions in there. We'll get to those very quickly. First question, what does Jay Nephew have? Jay Nephew, a USBC board member, having a rough night here at the River Center. He is down on lanes 23 and 24. Started the night with 162, I believe, and 186 or 188 in game number 2. And things looking up here in game 3. A possible 215. They're in the 8th frame now, so Jay also going to have some things to think about tonight before coming back for doubles and singles tomorrow. And our next question, Matt, are you bowling the Lucy this year? The Lucy, a pretty amazing mixed doubles event down in Houston that is run by Carol Norman and Donna Connors. And I had the opportunity to be at that event last year. I did not get entered into it. That event sells out very quickly. The entries go out in January, and by the end of February, they are 80 teams solid. And I do not believe that we are entered to bowl this year either. Very hard to get in there. Perhaps I'll make an appearance again to support those folks. A very cool event. Our next question, Matt, what were the listings using on the live stream broadcast just the other day? Well,
that's a good question.
That is a good question. That group, one of the teams was 900 Global of South Florida, some former PBA champions, throwing mostly 900 Global equipment. We saw quite a few Black Eagles and a Purple Eagle. That ball, of course, very similar to the breakout that Matt McNeil used on his way to back-to-back top 3 finishes in all events at the Open Championships. And we do have a 900 Global booth here on site, so check that out. And I believe that the real question was, what was Mike Lickstein throwing? It looked like a piece of charcoal from here. That ball was called the Columbia EPX. And he had it at 360 grit. So it was exactly what it looked like. And while it took him some time to open the lane up just how he was hoping, he finished the team event with 260. And he's in the top 10 in all events, shot well over 1900. So whatever he was doing worked. And an interesting strategy. Last time we saw him, he was throwing a urethane burgundy hammer and shot 299. On our live stream broadcast in 2010. So Mr. Lickstein, always very interesting with his equipment selections, but always performs, at least on the Open Championships lanes, and he knows what he's doing. So I'm going to take some notes from him, and we will see. Next question. This one goes to Mr. Williams, and we've covered this a couple times, but once again, this gentleman lives in the Chicago area, wants to know about your college career. Where did you bowl?
I went to Lindenwood University, located in St. Charles, Missouri, a suburb of St. Louis. About, well, I guess depending on how fast you drive, 4.5 hours or so from Chicago. And great place to be, of course.
Well, I was actually kind of curious the other day, and we really haven't talked about it much, but I mean, a lot of great bowling schools around the country, especially in the Midwest. Why Lindenwood? How did you make that decision? That's always a tough decision. It was for me back in the old days, back in the 1990s, when I had to decide where I was going to go. But how did you decide on that school?
Well, it's actually it could be a long story, so I'll try to shorten it up as best as possible. I actually had some other choices in mind. In fact, had some other schools in mind and was set to go to one or two of those. The first one had some actually both had some unfortunate circumstances that I actually had no control over. One being a lost housing application, that kind of thing. So long story short, I actually stayed at home my first year, out of high school, that is. And I went to Columbia College, Chicago, to study there, which is a fantastic school as well. It's not having any athletic programs, however, but if you like the arts and fine arts, liberal arts, any form of communication, it's a good place to be. But it's both junior league. I asked around. Junior league coach said, I actually asked him, did he know any schools ever giving bowling scholarships? He said, as a matter of fact, just got an email about a school called Lindenwood. Emailed the head coach at the time, and then he led me to what we called at the time was a kind of a recruiter, had some ties to the bowling program, and then actually made a visit to the campus, saw that I could bowl, and they had just built a brand new radio station, and then I was hooked. That was it.
And your reward, of course, a national championship with a team that I don't even believe existed when I bowled in college.
They did not, actually.
Yeah.
I believe the team started in 97 or 98.
Oh, I'm not that old, sir. Holy cow.
Well, when was your last year?
My last year as a bowler was 2001.
Oh.
And then I coached for a few years. I do not remember, however, Lindenwood University until a former junior Team USA member, Mark French, helped put it on the map a little bit, and then all of a sudden, there it was. And some other junior Team USA members through there as well. I believe Mr. Ferris, if I'm not mistaken, Daniel Ferris.
That is correct. A friend of mine as well. Also Brian Valenta, a talented two-hander. He's also a two-time Junior Team USA member. I believe he was actually probably the first junior teamer to attend that school. And
the Deuce.
He is the Deuce.
The Deuce.
And then, it really took off. Got to give a lot of credit to the founder, of course, of that program. And he is no longer with us. His name was Mike Hallway. Founded the team and had a lot of area talent. As I mentioned earlier, we saw Doug Lakey. He was on that team. A lot of talented St. Louis bowlers. And then an influx of out-of-staters rolled in and helped aid the program. And now it is a perennial powerhouse.
Wow.
If you will. Indeed, I said that.
Wow.
And I'll stand by it.
Okay.
So it's been great for me, obviously. A lot of things that I'm doing right now probably wouldn't have happened had I not gone to that school. So I owe a lot to the program and will always support it. But I'm a big supporter of college bowling in general just because of how great it is and what it can do, what it can provide, what it does provide to the student athlete. Great atmosphere, great environment. So I encourage, if you have the opportunity to, if you can, bowl in college, get the experience, and then move on to events such as the Open Championship.
As we saw here, some collegiate bowlers fared very well, shooting 3,400 just the other day, taking the lead in the team event. Right now, let's take a look at the scoreboard as the smell of fresh popcorn
Smells very good.
floats by us here behind lanes 35 and 6 at the River Center. And the questions rolling in the chat room as well.
This is good.
So there's a question about Matt Wiggins' style. Well, the good news is you can check out Matt Wiggins footage on Bowl TV. So check out bowl.com. Go take a look at last year's Open Championships videos, and you will see Matt Wiggins getting it done. Back-to-back 800s at the Open Championships. That will answer all of those questions, and of course we'll see him live on bowl.com on April 16th as he puts his all events and singles titles on the line here in Baton Rouge. So back to the action right now. These two teams having a little bit of a rough go at it. Things are looking a little better in game number 3. Question about the 40 frame game here in Baton Rouge. Another of the side events along with the Bowlers Journal Championships and some other events popping up around town as well. You can find more information about all those events here at the River Center. But the 40 frame game, just a fun day out, I would say. We get to bowl that as a kind of an employee party early in the year. Just a fun night to get together with some friends, and some cool features of that 40 frame game. Some mulligans, no taps, paydays, bonus strikes. So it really adds a fun element to the Open Championships experience, a little more laid back, and just some cool features there. So I encourage you to check that out at Circle Bowl, not too far down the road. And that's that. So it appears that we've answered all the questions that all of the bowling fans out there would like to know. So now we'll turn our attention back to lanes 35 and 6 here. Once again, this is Matt Cannizzaro and Emil Williams Jr. live from the Baton Rouge River Center, the 2012 USBC Open Championships, the second of 18 live stream broadcasts from this year's event. Right now we're watching sign producers 1 and 2 from Winter Garden, Florida. Some familiar names. PBA Senior Tour standouts Mark Williams, Kevin Croucher, and of course Hook and Bob Handley.
Guys are having a pretty good run here in the third game. Of course, for sign producers, just 2 opens. Kevin Croucher has been pretty solid, starting with a 4-bagger, a spare and a strike. There you see Bill Freeland now with a 3-bagger. Those things are, of course, looking up here. That one's got to hurry, and it does. It got on the horse.
Get on the horse ball.
Darren Baginski stays clean.
I will say, we've seen an awful lot of spares here tonight on this pair. These gentlemen, a little more old school, come from a time when well, spares are always crucial, but things were a little different in their generation, and there's a lot of spares up on the board. So when you're not throwing strikes, you got to make your spares. And
Mark Williams actually has been the king spare shooter. He had strike and 5 consecutive spares before his second strike of the game. Had a similar game in game number 1 where he actually had 5 or 6 spares in a row before his first strike.
And threw 1 double that game for 196, I believe. But my first opportunity to see Mark Williams up close and personal was at a PBA regional back in 2003 or 2004. We were up in South Carolina in the home of Tommy Jones. And Mark Williams won that event. And he beat Steve Hoskins, another great PBA bowler. And the reason for this story, of course, is because I was the guy who finished third that day. So if I'm going to finish third at any event, if those are the two guys in front of me, that's very cool. So very proud of that performance, and got the chance to talk to Mark, not only that day, but last year in Reno as well. Very cool guy. Resides in Beaumont, Texas, I believe, and still very active out there in the PBA regionals and on the senior tour. And quite the spare shooter, so I might go back and take a peek at this broadcast and get some spare shooting tips before I make my run here on May 6th and 7th.
I saw a ball change from Alvin Liu. Liu, who was throwing something shiny previously, was kind of going to find himself in one of those zones to where, and it's something we talked about earlier, you get it right early, it hangs, you miss in, and it hooks. Looked like he went to something with a little bit more surface, a controllable back-end reaction.
Good shot there by Rich Gibson, and his reward, a flat dime.
Spaginski looking for a strike.
Few and far between on this pair again, late in the game.
I think the first game, the way to go was to carry the light hits. Those were carrying. And then, second game, very improved for both teams, much improved. And now again, looks like carry has become an issue.
So as we talk about all these spares, question in the chat room about the 30 clean jackpot. And a personal goal of mine, not so much the jackpot part, but the 30 clean. A very cool accomplishment, I think, that I've never done here at the Open Championships. And if you do secure 30 clean frames in one event, you take home a very sweet Open Championships clock to commemorate that accomplishment. But we do have a series of year-long bracket products and jackpots, a 30 clean jackpot being one of them. And if you'd like to find out more information about that, of course, again, visit bowl.com. Check out the Open Championships page. There's a brackets tab. Great shot there by Williams as he mixes them up for a double. Under the brackets tab, you'll find the details about all of our brackets products. And as part of the scores box, you'll find the latest standings and results and such from those year-long products. For example, all bowlers who have hit the 30 clean jackpot so far, 159, 3, 6, 10, all kinds of goodies. And those are updated about the 1st and 15th of every month. So check that out. And yes, some of those do pay quite a bit of money and only a $10 entry fee. So you never know when you're going to strike in the right frames or go ahead and have a 30 clean.
In the 9th frame now of game 3. 35 and 36. There's the featured pair this evening. Sign producers 1 and 2.
We got a very, very cool comment here in the chat room from Ronnie Horton. That the greatest thing about the Open Championships is that even though these guys aren't bowling very well, they're struggling. You can clearly see they're enjoying some camaraderie and seeing some friends that they may not see regularly, of course, as we discovered earlier. Alvin Liu from California, and the majority of these gentlemen from Florida. Kevin Croucher, I believe, from the Pacific Northwest. So this event, a reunion of sorts, every year for teammates from across the world, even to reunite and see each other one time, and no matter what, that's important. It's all part of the experience. And bowling well, of course, on top of that is always a bonus, but not always the most important thing. So take advantage of every opportunity, of course, to get together with folks and make the most of it, no matter what. So thanks, Ronnie, for that.
No question about that.
Yeah, just as we learned from our longtime participants, and it's about so many different things for people. As we pointed out to our locals and such here in orientation, only 23 bowlers will be able to call themselves champions when this event is over. So the other 60,000 plus folks have to take away other memories and things from this experience, and hopefully they'll be back next year to give it another whirl. So very cool, Ronnie. Thank you for that.
Always nice to see your friends. And Alvin has had some struggles here in the back half of this game. Started very well for him. We hear a lot of the participants of this event talk about camaraderie. And many will see their teammates one time, and this will be it. It's the one time per year that they get to see one another, compete together. That kind of deal, and I think for most people, most can relate to that who bowl this event.
For Mr. Williams, of course, at least in my experience, in his 2 years on the lanes, it's a college reunion.
Indeed. Well, with some former teammates of mine. I went back home, moved back to Chicago. Some of them actually stayed in St. Louis.
And had a pretty good year, as I remember.
Others live elsewhere, Kentucky, Pennsylvania.
I believe the 5 who remained in St. Louis earlier this year rolled the highest team game in USBC history, 1434. And some, if not all of them, will be joining us here when it's time for you guys to get it done. What do you think about 1434 at the 2012 Open Championships?
Well,
I dare you.
Well, 2 of those guys are on my team. So they might put the pressure on me then, because they're expecting big things. But 1434 is that's a pretty darn good score right there. At the Open Championships, though, I mean, I'll be honest. Of course, this is first of all, it's sports, number one. Second of all, it's bowling. You can never count out anything. Just nothing is impossible. But if you shoot that here, I mean, might as well shut it down. I might retire from part of something like that.
Well, I've been here. This is year number 8 for me, and I look at the banners across the ceiling there, and just the things I've seen here. I was a part of the highest double score. Not a part of it. I wish I was a part of it. But I was there. Watched some real good friends, Steven and Brenda Padilla, shoot 1566 in Las Vegas. That was unbelievable to be there and see that, just the emotion that day. And that same year, got to see another unknown gentleman, at least to me, Ron Vokes, shoot 23-21 and 857 on the way into the lead in all events and singles, and we thought for sure that was a lock at that point. And then Bo Gergen comes from Michigan and shoots 862, the highest 3-game series in Open Championships history. And then 1 year to the day after Ron Vokes sets the all events record, Matt McNeil breaks it by a 5-pin, 23-26. And then, of course, last year,
cool.
that was awesome. And last year, on the way to the team title, Turbo 2-in-1 grips closes out of nowhere, 1281, highest game in tournament history. So we've been a part of a lot of great moments. We've caught a lot of them on the live stream. It's a nice performance, maybe not so memorable. But there's ups and downs. All great bowlers here. They've had not so stellar years. Good news is, no matter what you do now, you come back, try again next year. So we're in the 10th frame now. Take a look at the scoreboard. Really not much that we can say about tonight's performance. Things just did not go well. The pins did not fall in their favor. Even the slightest mistake, and they paid the greatest penalty. We saw a whole bunch of 4-9s and 4-7-10s and 6-7-10s and 4-6-7s, and seems like if they got the ball right, guaranteed washout. And then if they threw it where they wanted, 10 pins.
Lots to overcome here at the tournament. It's to deal with the condition, perhaps maybe some other unknown factors. We saw Mr. Hanley have a little trouble with the approach. Penny carry can become an issue as well. So all things that everybody will have to encounter, most likely at some point, hopefully not all at the same time. That would make your experience just a little bit better.
Well, it seems like when things don't go very well, even the most experienced guys end up fishing a little bit. And you take the opportunity to try some different things, and you never know what you might find. It'll be the right answer for tomorrow. There's always tomorrow. Doubles and singles, and that's all you can hope for. Give it your best. And then you throw shots like that, you can't throw them any better. And you leave a stone 8.
Cannot play with them. Cannot win with them. Cannot coach with them. Can't do it. Goodness gracious, 8-pin.
So Mark Chimay ends the night with a strike there. 204.
Especially if you're Chris Desir, who's not had a good night at all. He'd leave his own 8-pin in the 10th frame. I mean, that's just one of those where you just chalk it up and say, well, I guess that was bound to happen.
And real quick before we're done here, question in the chat room, what's up with Orlando? And for those of you who don't know, there was a proposed bowling venue for the Osceola County, Orlando area on Disney property. And that was actually supposed to be used for the first time in 2011 for the Open Championships, and that project never did get off the ground. The economy just not what it was when that project was proposed. So unfortunately, they have not broken ground on that venue. It is never out of the question, but as of right now, not happening at this moment. So once again, we're headed to Reno, the National Bowling Stadium in 2013 and 14, and then El Paso in 2015 before our regularly scheduled visit to Reno in 2016. After that, your guess is as good as mine. We should have some answers soon, as we do need to plan many years out. So we will see, and of course, as soon as I know, you will know what's going on in the future of the Open Championships. But as we wind down here, just want to thank everybody for joining us. And if you missed some of the broadcast and want to check it out, youtube.com/BowlTV. As these guys try to finish strong, Rich Gibson finishes with 3 strikes in the 10th frame for 180.
Another tough break right there for Bill Freeland. Trying to punch out, get as much as he can, and it leaves at 4-9. And to make matters worse, the 4 wiggles on him. Pretends like it wants to go down, but it doesn't. And that, unless he can convert either way, it puts kind of a sour end to what was a really good game. Freeland finishes with 204. So Mark Williams and Kevin Croucher. Mark ran in at around the 4th arrow. Hits the rangefinder down lane at 10 board. Leaves the 2-5. Here's Croucher. He's been lined up all game and buries the hole. $895, $988. For assigned producers 1, that was games 1 and 2. 961. 965.
It does look like Croucher's figured something out here in game number 3.
Hook. Oh.
Spoke too soon, but he's in the 230s. It's definitely a step up from the first 2 games. And perhaps he's got a good idea heading into tomorrow's doubles and singles.
Williams converted the spare. Final shot for Mark. 2-4-5. Mark finishes with 199. Croucher converts for 237. 10-18. Final game for assigned producers 2, 29-44. Total team score. 950 for assigned producers 1. 28-33. For those gentlemen. Well, all in all, I saw a couple of situations where the lanes probably played a little funky. Tried to make the adjustment, of course, and when you're fishing around, 1 or 2 errant shots can be costly, and of course they had to deal with some pin carry. Pins weren't falling for. But nonetheless, always an honor and pleasure to witness such great bowlers, Hall of Famers, doing what they do best, doing what they love, and that's throw the bowling ball.
You're getting me all teary-eyed over here.
That is what it's about.
So it's not about the Benjamins? Is that what you're saying?
Not all the time. That has a lot to do with it, and of course you'd like to win some. But a lot of times it's about the pure, sheer sport. Our next live stream broadcast will be next Saturday night. Same bat time, same bat channel. The Junior Team USA Support 1 and 2. As we mentioned earlier, Eric and Amanda Vermillier, Matthew Tuckfield, Jeffrey Mersch, Steve Novak, Sean Ryan, Clay Herbert, PJ Haggerty, Ronnie Sparks Jr., and David O'Sullivan. Countless accolades, awards, Junior and Team USA appearances, collegiate All-Americans, national titles, everything you can think of.
I'm jealous.
Will be on that pair, whatever pair that may be. So look forward to that. Of course, that is St. Patrick's Day, so we encourage you to join us responsibly and take a look, because that will be a fantastic broadcast in a definite way, if you're curious, as most are, tuning in to take a look at how the lanes are playing. Final scores for Sign Producers 1, 28-33, and Sign Producers 2, 29-44 on lanes 35 and 36.
Okay, so not a terrible night by any means. But of course, for guys of that caliber, I think they would have hoped for more. But tomorrow's another day, and another day for us. And don't forget to set your clocks ahead. Emil and I are gonna call it a night. Emil's got actually one more squad to watch tonight, the 11:30 doubles and singles squad. I'm gonna pack things up and head out of here. Appreciate everybody joining us tonight. Live from the Baton Rouge River Center, 2012 USBC Open Championships, Matt Cannizzaro and Emil Williams Jr. That's the news for now. See you on the lanes.